It's been almost 2.5 years since the last time we ranked the top 10 pets in Prodigy on this channel. To give you some context, back then I sounded like this.
What is up, guys? It is Michael back with another Ice Tower video.
Yeah, it's been a while. Since then, Prodigy released the Battle Update, which made that list completely outdated and it's been in dire need of a remaster for a while now. This list will be based on how versatile a pet is by looking at its stats and spells, and mythical epics and epics won't be included for this list. So without further ado, here are the new top 10 pets in Prodigy. Number 10, Keeper. Even though it's in the evolution line of one of the most common pets in the game, that doesn't stop Keeper from also being one of the best. Its main strength comes from its spells, where it has not one, not two, but 3 reliable spells, so you have a ton of options when attacking. You can infinitely cycle between Frost Spear and Clamp, but if you need a bit of extra damage, you have Iceberg, which is almost as powerful as a mythical epic special. The only downside is that he doesn't have too much health, so your opponent shouldn't have too much trouble dealing with him, but nonetheless, he is still a really powerful pet. Number 9, Pterosaur and Bone Pterosaur. I decided to combine these two since they have the exact same stats and moveset. Either way, this pet has fallen off a bit since the battle update, but even then he's still managed to maintain a top 10 spot. Pterosaur's moveset is very similar to Keeper's. He has 3 reliable spells, 2 that you can easily cycle between, and 1 heavy hitter that you can use if you need some extra damage. However, unlike Keeper, Pterosaur is a physical pet, so he can easily counter his weakness of Astral, while Keeper can't counter his weakness of Fire. Pterosaur also has a bit more health between the two, and all these things combined were just enough to propel him to number 9 on this list. Number 8, Embershed. This is yet another pet that has taken a beating from the new battle system, but even then he's still a really solid pet. Embershed only has 2 reliable spells as opposed to Pterosaur and Keeper's 3, but you can still infinitely cycle between them, so it's not that big of a deal. His biggest strength is the amount of health that he has. 880, which completely blows Pterosaur and Keeper out of the water. However, it's still not as much health compared to some other pets like... Number 7, Cloud Gobbler. That's right, Grandpa Shark is better than 2 of the most iconic pets in Prodigy history. Welcome to the battle update. All jokes aside though, Cloud Gobbler is a pretty big step up from Embershed. As I said before, Cloud Gobbler only has a bit more health than Embershed, but trust me, this 60 HP difference can mean a lot. Like Embershed, Cloud Gobbler only has 2 reliable spells, but the main reason he's so good is because of this spell, Frost Spear. As you know, Cloud Gobbler is a storm pet, and storm is weak to plant, but plant is weak to ice. This means that Cloud Gobbler can counter his own weakness, and the only other pets from the 5 main elements that can do this are Dreamlet and Glacial. Not only that, but since these 2 spells allow him to counter both plant and water pets, he has a lot more versatility that most other pets are lacking. The only downside is that he doesn't have a good physical spell to deal with the wizard, but compared to the other stuff he brings to the table, this is a very small price to pay. Number 6, Spindle and Tropic Spindle. Unlike Pterosaur and Bone Pterosaur, these 2 have the exact same stats, but not the same spells. Even though this technically means that they're different pets, I don't think it's worth wasting an extra spot on this list for 2 pets that are otherwise the same. Also because I was too lazy to edit the list when I remembered Tropic Spindle, but let's not talk about that. Anyway, Spindle continues a trend of having a ton of health and 2 reliable spells, but what's interesting is that both of these are physical spells. This means that you can use him to attack the wizard, but since he's a plant pet, the wizard's astral spells won't do too much damage to him, so he's a good alternative to a lot of the heavy-hitting physical pets. The downside, however, is that since he's a plant pet, there's no way of countering his own weakness, unlike your typical physical pet. And for those of you who are curious, Spindle is actually a bit better than Tropic Spindle, but either way, both of them are still top tier pets. Kicking off the top 5, I've got Comedy. This might be a hot take for some because I know that there are a ton of people out there who think that Comedy is a top 3 pet at the very least. And to be honest, I used to be one of those people, but recently my view has shifted a bit. That's because pretty much every pet on this list is good because of their stats and spells. Except for Comedy. She has subpar health and no reliable spells, which on paper sounds like she's one of the worst pets in the game. So why do me and many others regard her as one of the best? For starters, she's able to heal up one member of your team at a time, so she's able to give some of your heavy hitters an extra attack. Secondly, she's got a good amount of speed, so even if your fastest team member gets out, you can still rely on Comedy. But for me, Comedy's biggest strength is the mind games that it can play on your opponent. Your wizard and Comedy are both astral pets, so if your opponent has a powerful physical spell, it can be hard for them to decide who to use it on. If they attack your wizard, then Comedy will just heal them right back up. But if they attack Comedy, then your wizard will just destroy their entire team. It's quirky strengths like this that make Comedy one of the most unique and amazing pets in Prodigy. Number 4. Pomprickle and Tropic Pomprickle. That's right, I ranked the pet's base form over its evolution. Again, welcome to the battle update! Anyway, just like Spindle and Tropic Spindle, these two technically have different movesets, but the difference isn't enough for me to give each one separate spots. Besides, if I gave the Pomprickles their own spots, then I'd also have to do it for the Spindles, and if nearly half the list is just Leafy Pigs, then that wouldn't be much fun, but I digress. Pomprickle's so high up on the list because he has all the benefits of almost every pet before him. He's got the high health of Embershed and Cloud Gobbler, 3 reliable spells like Pterosaur and Keeper, and the ability to take out your wizard without getting countered like Spindle. On top of all of this, he brings in some benefits of his own, like the fact that one of his reliable spells is a plant spell. This means that on top of being able to counter the wizard, he can also deal with storm pets, giving him quite a bit of versatility. However, like Spindle, Pomprickle also can't deal with his own weakness, but this isn't even that much of a deal breaker. Once again, regular Pomprickle is just a tiny bit better than his tropical counterpart, but both are still some of the best pets that Prodigy has to offer. Number 3. Shivertusk. This might be a bit biased since Shivertusk is part of my main combo, but I'm very certain that he's one of the 3 best pets in the game. For starters, I'd like to mention his ridiculously high health of 970, which, spoiler alert, is the highest on this list. Following that, Shivertusk has a really interesting moveset with all physical spells, so he's really reliable if you need a team member that can reliably deal with the wizard. He's got 2 reliable spells that grant him a 3-spell cycle, so he's always putting in the work during battle. The fact that he only has physical spells does hurt his versatility a bit, but even then, he's still well deserving of a top 3 spot on this list. Number 2. Gloricious. This pick might be a bit controversial, but hear me out. When I first started making this list, Gloricious wasn't even on my radar as a top 10 pet in the game, so how in the world did she end up at number 2? Well, the answer to that is pretty simple. Gloricious just does it all. She's got a ton of health, 940 to be exact. She's got an infinite spell cycle with 2 reliable spells, Skewer and Stormglow. Having a storm spell means that she can synergize with fire pets like Smoldash or Igneos, and having a physical spell allows her to deal tons of damage to the wizard. Not only that, but since Gloricious is a physical pet, this physical spell means that she has a good counter to her weakness, Astral. Overall, Gloricious is a criminally underrated pet who is so good that he would be number 1 if it weren't for this final entry. But before we crown the best pet in Prodigy, let's quickly run through some of our honorable mentions. Hey, I know it's kinda lame, but it'll be really quick. Anyway, our honorable mentions go to the other 3 Gargoyles, the Aquasters, and Fathom. Igneos, Nebulite, or Sentinel could have taken Keeper's spot at number 10 on this list, but I just feel like Keeper is the best out of the bunch. The Aquasters are high health water pets with 2 physical spells and a healing spell, but they can only heal themselves, which doesn't really help out the team too much. Finally, there's Fathom, who didn't make the cut because he only has 1 reliable spell. And I know Comedy didn't have a single reliable spell, but she had a ton of other attributes that made her amazing, but this isn't the case for Fathom. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. By far, the best pet in Prodigy Math Game is Regalaxy. To this day, it still baffles me as to why Prodigy decided to release this pet, because it's absolutely broken. On the surface though, she doesn't seem like anything special. At 680 health, Regalaxy has the 3rd least health on this list, only beating out Keeper and her basic form, Comedy. Additionally, Regalaxy only has 1 reliable spell, but this brings me to her biggest strength, which is her spells.
What?
The reason for this is that she's got 2 Astral AoE spells, Astral Storm and Shooting Stars. The special thing about Astral spells is that they all have excellent aim, and since Regalaxy can infinitely cycle between her AoE spells, you will always do over 200 damage to each member of your opponent's team every single round. Pair this with the fact that she has quite a bit of speed, and you've got what is undoubtedly the best pet in Prodigy. And that'll be the video. But now that you know my list, I'm curious to see what you think, so be sure to let me know any changes you would make in the comments down below. But as always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.